This airport is not just concrete and steel, it is the symbol of a new Burkina Faso. For 60 years, our skies were open, but our freedom was grounded. Today, with this $240 million solar-powered airport, built by African hands and financed without Western control, we take flight on our own terms. This is not a gift, it is our creation. Our statement to the world that Africa can build, innovate, and soar without permission.
Ibrahim Traoré just finished a $240 million airport that will change Burkina Faso forever. While Western media stays silent, this solar-powered international hub, already 90% complete, is set to become fully operational by late 2025. And it's not just an airport. It's a statement that's making the old colonial powers nervous. Because for the first time in history, a small, landlocked African nation, once written off as poor and dependent, is building its own gateway to the world. Without Western loans, without IMF debt, without permission. This is the story of how Burkina Faso is replacing a relic of colonialism with a symbol of African independence, innovation, and pride. In the heart of West Africa, just 35 kilometers east of Ouagadougou, something monumental is rising from the red earth. A new airport, the Ouagadougou Donsin International Airport, valued at over $220 million euros, or about $240 million dollars. This isn't a renovation or an upgrade. It's a replacement, a total transformation. For decades, the old airport built in the 1960s by France stood as a symbol of dependency, outdated, overcrowded, built to serve colonial trade routes, not national progress. But now, under the vision of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, that era is ending. This new hub will feature a 3,500-meter runway, extendable to 4,000 meters in Phase 2, capable of handling the world's largest aircraft. A 17,000 square meter terminal capable of processing 1 million passengers a year. Cargo facilities that will transform trade across the Sahel. And at the heart of it all, a 10-megawatt solar power plant, generating clean energy to power the entire complex. It's not just steel and glass. It's a declaration that Africa no longer needs permission to rise. This isn't just an airport. It's an exit gate from dependency and an entrance to African sovereignty. Narrator. Construction began in 2021 after nearly 2 decades of planning. But what's remarkable is not just the size, it's the speed and purpose behind it. Despite political turmoil, despite sanctions, despite skepticism, the project moved forward. By mid-2024, reports confirmed it was 90% complete. That's faster than many Western-funded infrastructure projects. And when it opens, Burkina Faso, a country once described as one of the poorest in the world, will boast one of the most energy-efficient airports on the continent. Because in this story, the headline isn't just about aviation. It's about dignity. In a world debating climate change, Burkina Faso didn't wait. It built the solution. The Donsin Airport's 10 MWP solar plant, funded through a $49 million Chinese investment, will provide full energy independence. No fossil fuel reliance. No grid instability. That means, for the first time in Burkina Faso's history, a major piece of national infrastructure will run on sunlight. While Europe debates policy, Africa builds innovation. While Western media obsesses over aid, Africa invests in self-reliance. This project is not just about takeoffs and landings. It's about a philosophy shift, from dependency to creation. In every panel of glass, in every solar array, there's a message to the world. We are no longer waiting for permission to dream. When you control your energy, you control your destiny. This airport is powered by African sun, built with African hands, and financed by African banks. Burkina Faso's Ministry of Infrastructure confirmed that nearly 2,000 local workers were employed during the project's peak phase. Skills training programs were launched to ensure local expertise in engineering, aviation systems, and solar maintenance. This isn't outsourcing. It's nation-building. Compare this to the past. For decades, African airports relied on European contractors, European funding, and European technology, and the debt that came with it. But Donsin flips the script. Here, the African Development Bank, ECOWAS Bank, West African Development Bank, and the OPEC Fund for International Development came together, not to lend with conditions, but to invest in sovereignty. This time, Africa didn't sign another loan. It signed its freedom papers. And with this freedom comes power. Not just literal power from the solar plant, but political and symbolic power. Because when you can fund your own infrastructure, you control your own narrative. Let's talk about the money. The question Western critics love to ask, who paid for it? And the answer might surprise them. This isn't an IMF project. It's not a World Bank loan with policy strings attached. It's a Pan-African investment. The funding partners include African Development Bank, AFDB, one of Africa's most credible financial institutions. West African Development Bank, BOAD, contributing over $10.5 million. ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, EBID, Regional Cooperation in Action. OPEC Fund for International Development, UFID, providing $24 million in strategic support. And yes, a $49 million partnership with China for the solar power system, not as a debt trap, but as South-South cooperation, a collaboration between developing nations. This isn't foreign aid. It's African unity in motion. Unlike the old colonial model, this funding doesn't demand austerity, privatization, or foreign control of resources. It's investment with respect, not interference. Burkina Faso is proving something revolutionary, that you don't need the IMF to build a future. You just need vision and courage. When Captain Ibrahim Traoré came to power in 2022, he inherited a nation under pressure, sanctions, insecurity, and economic isolation. Yet instead of retreating, he accelerated infrastructure projects, water, roads, energy, and now, an airport that will redefine the nation's role in West Africa. Narrator. Under his leadership, development became a tool of sovereignty, not dependency. Because every kilometer of road, every megawatt of solar energy, every runway laid, is another step toward freedom. They tried to isolate Burkina Faso. Instead, he made it fly higher. The Western media won't show you this. They'll show protests, instability, statistics, but not this. The story of a nation rebuilding itself from the inside out. They won't tell you that the airport project survived a coup, a global pandemic, and even a construction collapse in December 2022, and still stayed ahead of schedule. They won't tell you that Burkina Faso's new airport will make it a regional aviation hub, connecting West Africa's landlocked nations with trade routes, tourism, and opportunity. And they definitely won't tell you that this project represents the death of dependency, the one thing the old powers fear most. Because when Africa builds its own wings, no one else controls where it flies. Let's go back for a moment to 1960, when France built the old Ouagadougou airport. Back then, it wasn't about independence. It was about control, about connecting Africa to Europe's benefit. Now, in 2025, Burkina Faso has built a new airport for Africans. By Africans with African money, that's more than progress. That's poetic justice. So when that first flight takes off from Donsin International Airport next year, it won't just be carrying passengers. It'll be carrying a message to every young African engineer, pilot, and dreamer that your sky is not limited, that the world is watching, and history is shifting, that Africa's time is not coming, it's already here. This is what independence looks like, not in speeches, not in slogans, but in concrete solar panels and flight paths, a $240 million project, built with African brains, African hands, and African pride. While others talk about development, Burkina Faso builds it. And while the world underestimates Captain Ibrahim Traoré, he quietly delivers results that leave the old powers speechless. Because true freedom doesn't ask for permission, it builds its own runway. If you're tired of Western media ignoring Africa's progress, hit subscribe and join the movement that celebrates African innovation. Tell us in the comments, which project should we uncover next? Burkina Faso's gold refinery, the Sahel Solar Corridor, or the Trans-African Rail Line? Because this isn't just news. This is history in the making.